Good morning and welcome into NFL Daily for our Week 12 NFL Power Rankings. All the teams ranked from worst to first as we do most Tuesday mornings. Number 12, the Carolina Panthers. You don't often get unanimous in these rankings. We do them AP poll style. Panthers are unanimous dead last, 1-9, and they don't have their first round pick. Number 31, the New England Patriots. The next four teams are kind of all tightly compacted together as the non-contenders. New England maybe is making a quarterback change. We'll see what happens on Sunday. Now, as we move forward, the power rankings will cease. Maybe we'll do one more. We'll see. But NFL playoff picture is going to take control because we are in mid to late November, and the playoffs are what matter. We'll do draft stuff for you teams that aren't going to make the playoffs this year. If you want playoff picture and more draft videos, hit that sub button right now. Number 30, the New York Giants. Hey, they got the win over the Commanders. I still don't think they're that good of a football team as the race to secure Drake May or Caleb Williams continues for several of these teams. Now, Arizona is number 29. They've been more competitive since Kyler Murray came back, and I'll give Jonathan Gannon some good credit. I think he's done some good stuff as the Cardinals head coach. The Bears should have been higher. They should have beaten the Lions, and as they have done far too frequently under Matt Eberflus, they have snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. It's not a good thing to have this continuously happen for Chicago. I thought Fields actually played pretty decently, but again, they took the ball out of his hands late. What's the point of being, a 3-7 football team, evaluating your quarterback and going, let's not give him chances to make plays down the stretch? I just don't get it. I don't like that coaching staff up in Chicago at all. The Titans at number 27. They are evaluating Will Levis. It's been inconsistent up and down. This was always trending towards being a rebuilding year for Tennessee. That is the case right now. I don't think the O-line's played that great. Probably could have sold more at the deadline, some of their key pieces there in the end. It's a process right now with a new GM and Rand Carthon, who did ship off some notable players like Kevin Byard. I think this is it's just going to be a long remainder of the season for Tennessee. Sorry, guys. Now, if you've liked our NFL Power Rankings over the course of the season, then like the video right now. If an ad comes here on YouTube, it's a great time to take advantage and make sure you're subscribed and go like the video as well. So if the ad plays here, go do it right now. Number 26, the Commanders. 4-7. They are winless in the NFC East, despite those games almost all being one score or fewer, or meaning overtime there at the end of regulation. They continue to just not play that great. Tight turnaround now against the Cowboys. They kind of a weird schedule quirk. They have the mini bye, then the Dolphins, then an actual bye, and then they play again. So not a lot of football to be played. They kind of need a win at some point in the next week and a half, or it's going to be very awkward in Washington. Green Bay is number 25, and there is a tier gap here, by the way, between the Commanders and the Packers and some of these other 4-win, 5-win teams. I think at this point, if you're 4-6 in the NFC, you still have a chance of making a playoff run. The Vikings have not, taken control of that division. Maybe the way, or the 7 seed, I should say, the way some might have thought they were going to be able to do. So that is suddenly open. The Vikings might be 6-5, but are we buying them as a true contender? I don't necessarily think so. The Packers, a couple games back, are not out of it quite yet. Now to Aaron Rodgers' current team instead of his old team. It's not going to be Zach Wilson. It's going to be Tim Boyle on Black Friday, which is just kind of a terrible potential game to watch. The Jets they've been clinging to dear life, waiting for Rodgers to get back because Zach Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett aren't it. The Jets have been one of the worst offenses in football, in particular on third downs, and I have no faith they're going to be able to right the ship here. Unlike the Raiders have to a certain extent. They've stabilized with Antonio Pierce at the helm. They are 5-6. They've got an outside chance of finding a way to claw their way into the postseason. I think that's a bit unlikely given how good the AFC is this year, even with some injuries to various key players at quarterback in particular. But I will give the Raiders some credit for kind of rallying down the stretch here and flashing some talent and some better play with Antonio Pierce replacing the fired Josh McDaniels. So who will be the next NFL head coach fired? I have a name in mind here. We'll get to that one in a little bit, his team. But who's next? There will be more coach firings. There's one team in particular I think is really teetering on the edge of just dumping their head man. We'll get to it in a moment, but let me hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Number 22, the Atlanta Falcons. And we'll go 21 here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, I'm looking at the rankings here. Chat Sports AP poll style. Basically, one vote is all that separates Atlanta and Tampa. Atlanta's going back to Desmond Ridder. The Bucs have not played very well as of late. Both these teams, however, are still very much alive in a not great NFC South. Still plenty of divisional games to be played. I mentioned the Packers not out of the wild card race. Neither are the Rams. That was a huge win for them over Seattle as part of the NFC West cannibalism stuff. Now, look, the Niners are going to win that division. I feel pretty confident saying that. Maybe the Seahawks shock me, whatever. But that 7th seed in the NFC is very much open. And the Rams could surprise some people if they can get healthy play out of Matthew Stafford down the stretch. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. I like that it's just you against the numbers. You don't have to battle thousands of other players and pros and sharks, and you got to win like the top 5% to take home anything. No. You just pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, go more than, less than, hit them all, or hit 2 out of 3 if you want to do the flex play like I like to do, and take home your winnings, just like that. Unfortunately, my 5-game streak is over. My 5-week streak, I should say, is over. I got C.J. Stroud more than passing yards. I felt so good about Sam Howell more than passing yards. 5 short. The pick 6 late kind of sunk him there. And CeeDee Lamb did not get that involved for the Cowboys this week, so that one stung as well. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Again, that's prizepicks.com/CLNS. I don't think anyone really believes in Indy, but they are 5-5 and not that far out of the playoff race. Gardner Minshew's been a good backup quarterback for them. I love what Shane Steichen's doing. It's probably not the Colts' year, but I like the trend they are currently on. Number 18, the Chargers. This was my selection for next head coach fired. It's a really bad sign, and I don't care what Ian Rappaport says, who shares the same agent as Brandon Staley, mind you. He's like, the defense is good. No, the defense has not been good in L.A. This is an organization, a head coach, whose entire defensive philosophy is we can't allow explosive plays. That's what they want to prevent. Guess what the Chargers have been the NFL's worst team at doing the past 2 seasons? Allowing explosive plays. They have a disconnect between what the coach wants to do, what they're actually doing. Their signings, their draft picks don't actually fit. I think Tom Telesco should be on the hot seat as well. Chargers missed the playoffs. It needs to be the GM and head coach fired in LA. It has been a problem this year. Yeah, the offense made mistakes. The defense did too. Quit acting like your side of the ball was perfect in that game, Brandon. That was a bad press conference. That was bad. Number 17, the Bengals. And this is, if they were just 5-5 with Burrow, they'd be much higher on this list. There's a lot of disconnect on these rankings. I had them down there at 20. I don't believe in Jake Browning. It's 17, 16, all pretty tightly compacted here. Some people still have it in the top 15. That's fine. I don't believe in Jake Browning. Schedule's tough coming down the stretch here. It's going to be, I think, a bit of a lost season in Cincinnati. Because of the injuries, I think it's fair to say the Bengals are among the bigger disappointments. There are legitimate Super Bowl aspirations. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they'll beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Talk about them in a little bit here, and they're a big change. Who has been the biggest disappointment for you this year? Could be player or team or coach. Sound off in the comments section. The Saints at 16, they are 500, and they're playing okay football. They're kind of a weird football team. The NFC South is going to be weird this year because the Saints have A plus 16 point differential, that's not that great. The Packers at 4-6 are 50-50 right there. They're at even point differential. But everyone else in the NFC South is negative. Saints are the favorites in that division. How about the Denver Broncos? They've now won 4 games in a row. They're getting hot, and they have an actual chance at stunning everybody and making the NFL playoffs. So all that drama about Nathaniel Hackett, Sean Payton, looks like Sean was right, at least for now at least. Denver at 15. The Steelers are at 14. They are one of the weirdest 6-4 teams you will ever see. Not only do they have a substantially negative point differential, they have been outgained in every football contest so far, and that is why this morning they fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada at long last. Their offense was putrid against Cleveland. It's been bad all season long. We'll see if new play caller Mike Sullivan can change that. But Pittsburgh might just backdoor their way in the postseason. They're going to win 9 games. That's what Mike Tomlin does every year, no matter the issues he has on offense. This kind of batch right now we're in, this Steelers range to, we'll call it maybe the 10th and 11th team. Not much of a differentiation there. Minnesota, 6-5. The Josh Dobbs story's been fun. It's been entertaining. Painful loss against Denver. They are the 7 seed right now. They should be able to make the playoffs, but we'll see when they get Justin Jefferson back. It sounds like it's not going to be until after the bye. At number 12, the Houston Texans. Guys, their schedule is easy. They are 6-4. They're going to win 10 football games. So they might be behind the Buffalo Bills at number 11 on our power rankings this week because they look better with Ken Dorsey out and Joe Brady calling the plays. Maybe they just needed a spark there. Also, you don't turn the ball over as much. You get your best starting field position all season. Good things happen better than they have previously. I'm not sold on Buffalo quite yet with all their defensive injuries. Houston is going to be a playoff team. They will make it. Their schedule is shockingly easy. Buffalo's is a little bit tougher. At number 10, the Seattle Seahawks. Hopefully Geno Smith is indeed okay. It sounds like that's the vibe there. Pivotal game in the NFC West coming this weekend. If the Seahawks lose, they'll drop to 6-5. The Niners would be 8-3, and the odds of them coming back with the game already down is not very likely. They win that game, NFC West is right back wide open. The Browns at 9. Almost all of us had them at 9. There were a few 8s and a couple 10s in there because somebody has to be in the top 10. And there is a very real tier break between the number 10 team, the number 9 team, and Cleveland because their offense is terrible. They're signing Joe Flacco, Dorian Thompson-Robinson trying to survive for them. Defense is elite. They 7-3. They should make the postseason this year, but might be one and done because they don't have their quarterback, and the offense is just surviving at this point. Jacksonville, meanwhile, they finally clicked on offense. Number 8 on our rankings. Not quite unanimous number 8s, but nothing lower than number 9, by the way, for these 7-3 Jags. I think these top 8 teams, these are your contenders. Not playoff contenders, but like championship game contenders, like realistic good bets to maybe make that run. Jacksonville at 8, the Dolphins at number 7 on our list. They get the Jets on Black Friday, some tough games down the stretch to prove they're not just the Florida man version of the Cowboys, who both these teams are, I think Miami and Dallas being 7-6 is the proper way to go about ranking these. I was surprised, by the way, that one voter, it was not me, I had them at 7, had the Cowboys at 3. I was quite surprised by that one. Dolphins and Cowboys are very good football teams. But to be great, to be more than what they've been the past, century basically and change, got to beat some of the better teams. They'll get those chances down the stretch. I think they're all going to win at least one of them. And plus they play each other. That's going to be an awesome football game. The Cowboys are at 6. The 3 other NFC teams are all in the top 5. And I think there are 3.5 viable answers for who's going to win the NFC this year. E for the Eagles, 4 for the 49ers, L for the Lions. Don't sleep on Detroit. They're only a game back. The Niners are 2 games or game and a half, 2 games back, I should say, excuse me. The Cowboys are also 2 games back, but they got to play the Eagles one more time, and their schedule gets tougher. Seems a bit unlikely, but if the Eagles don't win the NFC East, it's going to be Dallas. Those are your 4 teams. I don't buy Seattle in there. Who wins the NFC this year? 4, E, L, or C? The spots now between number 5 and number 2 are incredibly compact. These are your legitimate, top tier favorites to win the Super Bowl, win the championship game, whatever. The Lions at 5, wasn't pretty. They did beat the Bears. The Niners at 4. There were some votes for all of these teams, by the way, at number 2. So there's just some disagreements, AP poll style, very small, splitting hairs, if you will. Niners at 4 looked way better the past 2 weeks. The Baltimore Ravens at number 3. I had them at number 2 personally. Still a little bit inconsistent at times on offense. Defense playing well. Mike McDaniels should get a head coaching gig. I love what they have done so far this year. I kind of like them to win the AFC over the Chiefs, so at least get the number 1 seed. KC's offense is a problem right now. They've been shut out far too frequently in the second half of football games. Maybe they miss Eric Bieniemy. You know what else they actually miss? Unironically, is Juju Smith-Schuster, who's doing nothing in New England, but the Chiefs miss him. They never replaced him properly. MVS can't catch. I don't know why they gave him $10 million a year when he's the exact same guy he was in Green Bay. They just sorted by speed and goofed up. But unanimously, as they should be, the Philadelphia Eagles at the top spot. There is no other correct answer than Philadelphia. Have they even played that well this year? No, they haven't, which is kind of scary to think about because they haven't played that well, and they're still 9-1, and they continue to find ways to win football games. Philadelphia is a dangerous team this year. So grade our NFL power rankings, A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off where else but the comment section. In fact, the pinned comment of today's video.